Welcome once again to the DAZN MMA Show. Sean O'Connell here, Dan Hardy across the pond, and joined by another special guest, fresh off a victory at PFL Europe Newcastle, our first event for PFL Europe, and a guy who's just on the go. A man who you can't keep down, still undefeated, 22 years of age, one of the fastest rising prospects in the bantamweight division around the globe. The McGrizzler, Lewis McGrillen. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Hi guys, you're all right? Yeah, I'm good.
So you've had a couple of days now to process the victory over Salakula Khan. You got it done early. You got it done with the big left hand. It was a flawless victory, a pretty incredible performance. Now that you've had some time to digest it, how you feeling?
I'm still overwhelmed, like I fighting all these lower shows in the UK, and then I'm fighting on PFL like that. It was one of the dreams come true, on a big show, and I still can't believe it. I've watched the fight about a million times. I can't lie. Yeah.
What was the emotion like when it was bumped up to right before the co-main event?
It was, I can't explain it. Like, I felt like I was trying to get a bit of hype behind me, and I've always had a bit of a good following behind me anyway. But then I got told that I'm moving up the card. I was like, oh, that's interesting. But it's later on. It's no big deal. I fought late before in previous fights and stuff. But that was something special, definitely. Like, I can see how the media was more on me again. And then I feel like I was getting the recognition I felt like I deserved in a way. Yeah.
Well, recognition, that's a hell of a thing, right? You're 22 years of age and you're starting to be kind of thought of, known as one of these rising prospects. And that puts you in an interesting position career-wise. Obviously, the PFL is excited about your potential. We know that there's a lot of organizations around the globe that have fighter interest. PFL Europe's got $100,000 at the end of a season. You got $1 million at the end of the global season. You got your whole future in the sport of mixed martial arts ahead of you. How are you going about making decisions and managing things with so much in front of you?
That's the thing, right? Because I feel like the world's my oyster end of the day, and I'm finally getting options and stuff like that. My hands, like doors opening for me now at just the age of just 22. I've got a good management around me, Vida management. People look after me well and know what's best for me, and I can negotiate well, I guess. And I feel like I'm a proper mature, proper legit MMA fighter. And yeah, I feel like I'm just excited, honestly.
Your power was scary. That's what everybody was talking about during fight week. It's obvious in every one of your fights. When did you realize you had that power in your hands, and what did you do to kind of add to it to make you a better fighter?
I feel like I've always been like a hard puncher, like naturally, I guess. And even when I was a kid, even before I ever started fighting, when you hit a punch bag here and there, I just wanted to hit it as hard as I could. And I think of it bad intent and like an anger. I just want to hit that hard, and I want to hit like Mike Tyson. I want to hit like Prince Nazim in his day, like knocking man halfway across the ring. And I feel like I've just worked to perfecting it. My coach Carl's seen the power in what I've got, what I possess in my hands, and we worked it and worked it and worked it, and now it's just there. I've got that gift, I guess, that the power in my hands, and definitely, yeah.
Look, being a power puncher is one thing, right? And having that ability and having that gift from God is one thing. But at 22 years of age, what we see of you is a composure, even when those punches land, when you get people in trouble. We saw it against Kula Khan the other night, right? You hit him with a couple of punches that you could have pounced on it. You could have followed him down. You could have flurried. You could have maybe worn yourself out. The patience, where does that come from? Is that something that feels natural to you, or do you have to work on that? Because I've been in there, Dan's been in there. When you hit somebody and they fall down, the natural tendency is to follow them and to hurry up and finish it. You somehow fight that urge in the moment.
I think that's the difference between professional and amateur. I had 9 amateur fights, and you can see over the years how I evolved. I was very, very scrappy. I was relentless, and then I've matured, and I've learned how to use the composure. If the finish is there, it's there. I don't have to. I have that moment where I can switch a fight off the fast, so I don't need to rush it. I can pace myself. I can use my skill set. I have other things in my arsenal. I have grappling. I have wrestling. I have other things. Got great jiu-jitsu. So if it's there, it's there. So I have that capability where I can be patient in the fight. I don't need to rush it. I knew when I hurt him, I don't get that feeling where I go, I need to go now, I need to get on him now. I don't have that. If I know if it's like, say I'm losing the fight and it's 15 seconds to go, that's when you gotta go in it. But like, I know I'm winning the fight here. I can pace myself here. I can read him. I can read his mental game. I can read his body. I was taking my shots and I was feeling in the fight. I knew he was going to break and I knew I was going to knock him out. It's all about when I was going to knock him out. It's just all about timing. And then I timed it and I knocked him out.
How much of the time do you feel like you can win the fight before you've even gotten in there? Because obviously there was, all the way through fight week, you were trying to get inside his head. The face-offs that went viral. Everybody was watching that, ready to see you fight. How much do you feel like you can get inside their head before the fight actually starts?
A lot. I don't feel like I have to do anything to get in someone's head, because it's like the power of possessions alone can scare people. But everyone loves to promote the fight, and it was my opportunity to shine and show what I'm not just pulling my hand, I'm covering my mouth. I mean, no homo, yeah. Just being talking sorry, it's just I'm good at putting on a performance, putting on a show, do you know what I mean? And just being here, and I like getting in their head, I like winding them up. End of the day, it's like being in school for me, and I'm winding them up because I'm a little boy or whatever, yeah. I'm just promoting the fight. I'm being here, and I can see his mental game breaking, even off camera, before the camera and the media were on us. I was throwing slide shots. I was still winding him up. He was doing media, and I'm standing at the door watching him going, I'm here, and winding him up, and I'm playing with his head. I'm winding him up, and end of the day, it's probably 70-80% mental. Could you agree on that? So it's like I can break the man, do you know what I mean? By that.
So I stayed up all night after the fights because I had to get on an early flight back to the States, right? And you see the articles coming out. And one of the headlines that I saw about your fight was, is McGrillen the second coming of Conor McGregor? And the reasons for the comparison are obvious, right? UK fighter, British Isles fighter, you got that sort of brash style, huge power in the left hand. Is that a compliment to you, or is it something you have to fight your way out from under a shadow because you don't want people saying he's just another Conor McGregor? I mean, even as I say that, that's not an insult, but another Conor McGregor, that's a special thing. But how do you look at the comparisons between yourself and the biggest star that the sport has ever seen?
Well, that's the thing. I grew up watching Conor McGregor, and as cliche as it sounds, he is my favorite fighter. I love him. I relate to him in a way where he is not just because I'm left-handed. He's left-handed. I've got Irish heritage. He's got Irish heritage. McGregor, McGrillen. It's a bit mad, isn't it? But I am my own man, end of the day. But I grew up watching him, and I understand Conor McGregor because I feel like the way he sees things, openings, and the way he talks and stuff like. He's just even though he's Irish, I'm English. He's just a kid from his estate. He was just a guy from a council estate in an average council estate, an average lad who could throw a punch. And I feel like I'm kind of the same in a way. And how can I could take that from him. I can learn that from him. But I am my own man. But seeing Conor McGregor knocking that guy out on top of proper 12 whiskey, I swear to God, yeah, I'm not lying. I touched wood on my mum's life, yeah. I'd seen that months ago. I seen a picture in my head of me knocking someone out on top of a proper 12 canvas, and it actually happened. I was saying to my coach, it was so weird. It was so weird that it happened, and it actually happened. It's in a way, I feel like I manifested it in a way. If you truly believe in it, it actually happens, and it's crazy.
Something else you've got in common with McGregor then, right? Mystic McGrillen. We'll have to start calling you that as well.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
So what got you into MMA? What was the first moment where you thought to yourself, I'm going to give this a go as a career?
It's I used to always mess about on the actual turf on football pitches, grappling, messing around with each other and stuff like that. And I've heard of UFC here and there. I used to play the odd computer game here and there. I swapped games with my friend who used to box. I gave him Fight Night Champion, and then he gave me UFC Undefeated 3. Played a few games, and I thought, who's John Jones? Who's this guy? He's amazing. He's untouchable. Discovering his guys, discovering GSPs, and then I knew a bit of there. I thought I'm probably not going to try it, but I learnt the moves. So I was on the AstroTurf grappling, And then I went with this lad called Jake, and he don't train anymore. And he's like, come to an MMA gym, you're pretty good, you know what you're doing, like stay top control, mount. I came along, I went to a local gym, and then I just picked it up straight away, and I just fell in love with it. And then I trained here and there, but I was still playing football, and I was like still a lad doing my own thing. And I actually met you, Dan Hardy, at SBG Manchester in 2015, or 2016. I don't think you remember me. I looked at you and I was like, "You're Dan Hardy, you're Dan Hardy." And you went, "Yes, I am, yes, I am." I was like, "That's mad. I'm meeting the outlaw." I did a bit here and there. I kind of fell off a little bit. I started doing my own thing, and then I started getting in trouble in school. And then I was dead angry. I needed to fight. And then I got pulled into a gym called All Powers, and Brendan Lockton actually became my coach for a bit. And then the rest is history. I started training, become a fighter.
All right, so we know that left hand is deadly. All right, we know that you have the timing, that you know how to read. We know that the mental game is incredibly strong with you. How good are you at grappling? At some point, people are just going to say, don't let him hit you, take him down, dominate him. How good are you when the fight hits the mat?
That's the thing. People are arguing with me like I'm probably they think I'm better on the ground. I swear to God, I got so much in my arsenal as a grappler. When I was an amateur, I was known as a wrestler. I was known as a relentless pressure wrestler. I was like a bit like, they used to call me the amateur Kobe Covington. That's how I used to wrestle southpaw, wrestle constantly and mix my striking. Eventually, I started believing in my striking more, realising I could strike, I could hit hard, and my composure came with it in the end. And now I'm known as just a striker, but I'm not. I'm a well-rounded. I'm a mixed martial artist. I didn't come from a boxing background. I didn't come from a wrestling background. I came from a mixed martial arts background. I came straight into MMA from MMA gym, and I learned it all. I was the UK Fighting Championship champion as an amateur. I was the ICSC amateur champion, and that was all down to my wrestling. And my back takes. I've got good jiu-jitsu. I train with Dagestanis in the gym. I can wrestle, man. People just don't realise.
So what comes next for you then? What's your plan in your head? Would you like to be on one of these next PFL cards? I mean, I'd like to see you on the Dublin card at the end of the year. I think that'd be a treat for the Irish fans because they've been missing someone like McGregor on their cards.
Definitely. Like, I've got a big fan base in Ireland. My family are Irish. I've got loads of family in Irish, man. And I remember I went to Bellator Dublin to see the teammate Kane Moose and Jordan Barton fight. I was in the stands watching there, and loads of lads coming up to me knew who it was, and I'm just like, it's crazy. I would love to fight in Dublin. It's a dream, and if PFL want me to fight in Dublin, I am 1,000,000% on to fight in Dublin. That would be a dream come true, definitely.
Very cool.
Well, Lewis, congratulations on the progress you've made so far. Very much hoping to see you back in the Smart Cage sometime this year. Incredible fight, incredible knockout, incredible atmosphere, and a lot of that down to you in Newcastle. So thanks for your time today. Thanks for the great performance the other night. Appreciate you.
Thank you, mate. I really appreciate it. Both of you. Thank you.